Hello, and welcome to Worththewar. Today we've got a very important topic, and I am really excited to share it with you. Here at Worththewar, we are all about sparing hearts by rethinking our approach to love. I want to make these podcasts short, sweet, and to the point so that you can share them knowing that someone doesn't have to dig through a bunch of verbiage to figure out what they can do to protect their own hearts and the hearts of those they love. Today, we're going to talk about how independence protects hearts. We need to really dig down on this because a lot of the research I've been doing, and one of the great focuses that I have at Worththewar is to help people really protect the next generation, right? Our kids, our grandkids, the circle that we live in, because most of us had really poor preparation for healthy love and relationship. So I will, if you want to reach out to me, I'm on pretty much every platform under Worththewar. Just let me know. I'll send you an article from Harvard about how to foster independence in children. It's not going to be the focus of our podcast today, but it's really an important piece because if we really want to get to the point where we're able to pass down and rethink healthy love and relationship for the next generation, it needs to start with us, but we need to have concrete ways to pass it on. So let me know if you want a copy of that. It was a great article. And very simple. It's a very short, very practical guide. So how does independence protect hearts? What exactly are we getting to here? So the first thing we have to figure out is, what makes us a target for a dark heart? Here at Worththewar, we define dark hearts as someone who would rather wound us than love us. So, because we're on social media, we can't use some of the normal phrases that we might, abusers, things like that, because they just get killed when it comes to actual reach of their information. So we use the word dark hearts, and I think it's really appropriate. So one of the things we have to realize is there are going to be three things that are going to make us targets, right? It's going to be a power misalignment. We're going to have a difference or an imbalance in our power in a relationship. Another one is a lack of awareness of how important and how crucial the role of our independence and our confidence is to opening that door to people who would rather wound us than love us. And remembering that what we've talked about before, often those people will come off in the beginning like they are the most gregarious people of love that you're ever going to find. But the problem is that twists quickly into something that's more about manipulation. So if we don't really target the fact that it doesn't always look like it's a dark heart, you may not always know that it's a dark heart, but these are the things that create the open door for them to say, oh, this is a soft target. Another one would be cultural factors. I myself personally, as a person of faith, but I can say that one of the things that I fight for at Worththewar is to really work on protecting and preventing spiritual abuse. Somehow we want to think that people who have big titles can be trusted, whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, or a pastor, or a priest. And that just isn't true. So cultural factors also will play into that. We're going to advertise 1,000,000 times with bright neon letters. It is never the victim's fault. No matter what is in play that makes us a target, it's never the victim's fault, okay? So as we go through these things, if you're thinking, oh, I wasn't aware of that, or oh, I didn't notice there was a power struggle, or oh, yes, I was in a church and I accepted things, or I let my kids be with people I shouldn't have, that's where the blame has to stop, and we need to lay it down. We cannot act on things that we do not know. And when someone is a dark heart who does come into our life, and they come in like they are the savior that's going to make your life worth living, and they become the nightmare that makes you never want to wake up, those people are manipulative, you name the tense of it. And at the end of the day, we are not responsible to take the blame for what they do. So what can we do, right? So we understand that in the power struggle, the lack of awareness, the cultural factors that play into it, these things all create and they utilize a element of dependence. Dependence in and of itself is a beautiful, healthy thing. But dependence, when it's not just to connect humans, but rather it's to make one human stronger than the other, that's unhealthy. And here's what happens is we might grow up in a paradigm where people tell us when you find the right person, you just can lean into them and they're going to make your life worth living. I mean, talk about a toxic idea. What What human person can make our life worth living? But we do somehow believe that that's the way it's going to go. And we're going to be able to lean into that and depend on that and trust that. In reality, healthy relationships have two strong people that help each other, right? They help each other stand, especially when the storms of life come. So when we think about this, we have to realize we want to look for independence in our life so that we can strategically and wisely choose where we want to be dependent. So here are some things that we can do. No matter where you are, you might be in a relationship and the red flags are going crazy. You might be in a relationship and you might think, I don't know if I want to go to the next level. Or you might have never been in a relationship. And all of these things are going to apply. And they'll also apply if you want to send to someone who's maybe never been in a relationship, who has never thought about the things they need to think about, look at, and how they want to define love. So make an effort, a serious effort, to see your intrinsic worth. We all come from different worldviews. As I said, I am a person of faith. I believe that our worth, our value was imputed in us, that was given to us before we ever made our first good decision or bad decision, and nothing we ever do will take from that. I don't know what version or form of that you might personally grasp onto, but the reality is, if you don't fully know that you are worthy, that you are valuable, you are a wide open vulnerability to someone who would want to manipulate you, because they will pull on those strings easily. Inventory your gifts. Inventory the things that you do and want to do and enjoy doing that add to other people's lives. Inventory the things you're good at, that you're interested in, things that you offer yourself and the world. This is another one. Add positive people in your circle. If you're surrounded by people who always find the negative in you, it may be because you aren't fully convinced that there's positive and beauty and worth in you. So add some people to your circle. They might be really kind of casual people that you know from work or in the neighborhood. Ask them to go for a walk. Ask them to have a cup of coffee. Add that kind of input into your life. If you look around and the only people you see around you are negative and you've collected that, it's time to inventory the circles that you run in. I also think reading books is helpful. If you are being isolated by someone in your life, read a book that would give you the ability to dig down deep and really look at, what is it that makes me think that I'm not valuable? What is good about being a human, right? I'm just a human. I'm imperfect. I don't have to be anything else, but that I'm still valuable. Read fiction books about healthy relationships, about love, about honor, about people fighting through abusive relationships and coming out the other side stronger, with strong boundaries and strong sense of confidence and self-worth. So these are things that you can do to really start to see that you don't need to and you should not put up with less than being treated well. And that is something that no dark heart wants for you to be able to realize. Another one is working towards self-reliance. This is not an easy one, and I'm not pretending that it is. You need to look at all the places in your life where you have deep patterns of dependence and look and see if any of those are unhealthy. If you are relying on someone psychologically, emotionally, or financially, but maybe they just don't deserve that. Maybe they're not treating you well. Maybe they're using that over your head. These are what I would call negative areas of dependence. You need to start. It could maybe very small. It might be, I'm going to get a part-time job. Wow, if someone's manipulating you, that's going to set them off. That's going to be a huge red flag to them that she's actually, or he's actually not going to be reliant on me. They're not going to put up with my bad behavior anymore. So start moving towards self-reliance in small and safe ways, right? Small and safe ways. Look at unhealthy dependence patterns, setting goals for how to free yourself from them. It might be finances. It might just be, there's a lot of us that have codependent traits. It might just be, I'm not going to any longer feel bad if this person is upset with me. I'm going to be okay with that because they're using that to manipulate me. It could be something as simple as that. And that's going to bring us to the next one, which is, I think, so important to this whole discussion. And I really think that if you're a parent or a grandparent or love someone who's younger, please pass this to them. And if it's not the whole 15 or so minutes of this, pass this idea to them. Prepare them or yourself to be uncomfortable. The person who is ill-prepared to be uncomfortable is going to be a slave to comfort. Rather that comfort is someone else's opinion or anything else, they are going to be a slave to that. So we need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Now we hear about this in the motivation circle, right? Like if you're going to do something different with your body, you're going to need to push beyond your limits. If you are going to change patterns, it's going to get uncomfortable. I get that. This is a little different. This is really saying, I need to release the things that I'm clinging to that make me feel like I'm all right. I'm going to give you an example. If you are codependent and somebody's happiness is everything to you and you dance on a pin to make them happy, you may need to release the want, the desire, and the quite frankly, the driving force that is their happiness. They are responsible for their happiness. They are responsible for their wellness, and we cannot own that. And the sooner we realize that that discomfort is okay, it's okay to look at someone else's life and say, oh, I wouldn't do it that way. Oh, I wish I could help them. But if you're dismantling your life and your ability to live a life well for somebody else's desire to self-destruct, that's a discomfort that you can't justify. You need to be okay with somebody else deciding that they're unhappy with you or they're unhappy with their own lives. Be ready to stop looking at yourself through the lens of others and looking it to them to tell you who you are, if you're valuable, if you're doing things right. It's okay to disappoint other people. I don't see that as a moral failure. If you're doing the best you can, if you're living out the life the way you feel you are convicted to live it, and people still are completely and utterly disappointed in you, it's okay. And you've got to get comfortable with that. It's okay to disappoint people. Do not let that destroy you. Do not. Life is messy. If we're going to raise up a generation and we're going to reclaim our own hearts, we're going to have to realize it's messy, folks. It's not going to get less messy. So don't expect perfection. And the minute you release that, you start to develop your confidence. And guess what? Guess what the entire anecdote to this vulnerability for your dependence on others, it's confidence. The more you develop it, the more that you invest in it, the more that you get comfortable in the mess that is real life, the less power those kinds of dependencies and those kinds of people will have, and less access to the heart of you that they will want to pull the strings and manipulate you. Allow grace. I would guess that if this is a struggle for you, if dependence and wanting other people to be well and pouring yourself out and just completely dancing to make sure everybody's well, if that's important for you, you probably give grace to everyone else but yourself. It's time to give grace to yourself. Perfection is not the standard you need to live by. As your confidence grows, the doors to manipulation will start to creak and close as well. So just take a moment to really listen to that. As your confidence, your knowledge of your worth, your ability to deal with messiness, and the ability to be uncomfortable begins to grow, so will the access that dark hearts, unhealthy people will have to your life. And you might have bumps still, but you know what it's like when you don't know that you'll get through the night because your heart is broken because they think something, they're going through something, or they're telling you exactly how you should be living your life to please them. And you, honest to goodness, think they're right. Those nights will stop being the rule. They'll start being the exception. And you will begin a process of pulling back your confidence and your independence. And when you do that, there's peace, folks. When you get there, there's peace. So that's the message for today. Independence is the protection of the heart. And at Worththewar, we are about sparing hearts day in, day out. I hope you follow me. Instagram. You can find us at Worththewar and Love is Worththewar. Find us over on TikTok. You can find us at worththewar.com. Facebook, Twitter, you name it. We're everywhere. Some places are more active than others. We'd love to hear from you. Please let me know if you want that article on how to raise and foster independence in your children, because that's going to be a part of how you protect them. I hope you have such a fantastic rest of your day, and I look forward to chatting next week. Take care. Bye-bye.